Hey guys, Jexie here. Welcome back to another video. Today the topic we're going to be discussing is inspired by the reading we did at a meeting I was at earlier, and it talked about the importance of sharing openly and honestly about what we're going through and not worrying so much about what other people may think, because look, if it's important to us, like, we need to talk about it. So I really related to this idea that sometimes sharing can be hard and that we may hold back because we're either embarrassed or ashamed or we don't think what we have to say matters. Um, this was something I struggled with a lot a couple years ago. I would say probably about 2 years ago. I was just under 5 years clean, and I was living in a home situation that was very, very unhealthy for me. I was living in a home that had a lot of my drug of choice around, and my husband at the time was on a lot of pain medications. And that in itself, being in a home with your drug of choice around, is hard enough. But like, there was a lot of, it's hard for me to talk about, right? Because like until I left, like, there was a lot of words I use now to describe my situation that I wouldn't have used then. For example, like, I never considered myself a victim of emotional abuse or a victim of, psychological abuse. I didn't think that I was living with domestic violence. Like, none of those things I thought applied to me until later on, after I was out of that situation. I could look back and be like, wow, like, that I was living with abuse, and I didn't see it that way. And I was really embarrassed and really ashamed to share about where I was at and what I was going through, because I don't know that I could tell you exactly why I felt so ashamed, but I can tell you that I did. I'm sorry that this video is a little bit with me taking like a lot of pauses and thinking. It is just a little hard for me to talk about, but I think we all go through things that we have trouble sharing about. And so I wanted to really do a video where I can describe, like, I can relate to that feeling. Like, it's not always easy to open up to people. It's not always easy to let people know what's going on. Sometimes we've had hard things in the past, maybe when we were children or adults, or maybe something happened in our life that had like a very profound impact on us, and maybe is even what caused us to use drugs in the first place. But if we can't open up and share about it, whether to a group or to one person or, to a therapist, whatever, it's hard to heal. So I was in a situation where I never imagined myself to be. So I look at myself now, like, I like to think I'm a fairly strong person, and I used to always think I was like a decently strong person. Like, if you would have asked somebody, like, I would have been the last person that anybody would have thought would have been like pushed around or like stood for crap. Like, I'm the older child, and I 100% never would. I've had to get involved in situations with my sister where, like, somebody was picking on her, somebody was doing stuff, and I was like the first one to like go in and fix the situation, right? And not like beat people up or hurt people, but like, I always took care of my sister, and I always took care of my friends, and I never really had a hard time like telling people no or setting boundaries. Like, these were not problems that I had. And in my marriage, like, these are all problems I had, and I didn't know how I got there, right? So I went from a place where, like, I didn't realize I had given away so much of my autonomy. And it was really hard for me to not just recognize that, but to share about how that felt. I was ashamed. I was ashamed that I was afraid. I was ashamed that I was anxious all the time. Like, it was very hard for me to get through each day emotionally, and I thought it was my fault. I thought, this is what you do when you're married. Like, it doesn't matter that I'm miserable. Like, I signed up, better or worse, sickness, health. And I was like, he's sick mentally, and I want to stick by him and do what's right, regardless of how it makes me feel. And I did for a very, very long time. And I never really shared about how I was feeling or the hurt that I was going through. It was a lot of struggle. It was a lot of struggle. And I did talk to some people a little bit. Some people had like slight ideas about what was going on. And I don't know whether I was afraid of like getting suggestions that I wasn't ready to take, or whether it was just the shame and embarrassment about no longer being the person I thought I was. But I didn't share. I didn't openly tell people that like all of these things, because like the fact that I didn't use through this, like the fact that I didn't relapse and like start using again is like a miracle in itself. I was dealing with some of the worst emotional trauma that I can ever imagine, like that I went through in my life, right? Like it was the hardest time emotionally that I had been through. And I was in a house with my drug of choice readily available. And I didn't use. And I don't know how that is. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. It kind of helps me believe in that whole idea of a higher power, because I can't tell you how I didn't get high. And like I want to say that there was like some magic answer that like, but I was really lucky. So I think a lot of the problems I was going through like would have been less. I could have shared the pain if I just was open and honest about and shared it. Whether it be at a meeting with with more friends, with a therapist, it doesn't matter, right? Like for me, my program is going to meetings, but that doesn't mean that's what you have to do. I think what's important is recognizing that like we need to share what's going on with us. Like we're not alone in this world. Like we don't have to do this recovery thing by ourselves. And I don't have to fake how I feel. If I'm miserable, if I'm confused, unhappy, I'm sad, I don't have to pretend that everything's fine. I can share that. And like, I don't know why I didn't know that. I had almost 5 years clean. Like I should have been able to tell people how I was feeling. There's no excuse for it. There was no reason I couldn't do that, but I couldn't. I couldn't be honest. And I didn't lie. I just underplayed things. Yeah, he's not nice all the time, but it's fine. You know, like, yeah, well, he's just had a bad day. I made a lot of excuses for other people's behavior because I understood that I had no control over it. I forgot that I had control over myself. Just because I don't have control over the other people's actions doesn't mean that I have to be okay with them. We can do something different for ourselves today. I didn't have to stay in a relationship that I wasn't happy with, that was hurting me. But like, I protect myself from that happening again by being open and honest and sharing with other people where I'm at all the time. It's not easy. In fact, it's really hard for me sometimes to like let people know what's really going on in my head. But I know the dangers of not doing that. And I don't want to end up in that place again where I was waking up every day like anxious and miserable and scared. Clean. So like for today, like I'm just going to be a little bit better at sharing where I'm at and telling people how I feel. Like luckily today I feel pretty good. My life's okay. I don't have all the outside stuff that I had before. I don't have my own place to live. I don't have a lot of the things that I used to have, right? Because I had to give that up when I packed up my and left. But I have serenity. I have happiness, and I'm not anxious every day. Like, I wouldn't trade that for the world. I would much rather be living in my parents' house, sleeping in my childhood bed, and have my kids and I wake up happy every day than go back to my $500,000 house in the fancy neighborhood and be upset and anxious and scared every day. I take peace of mind over anything. And I know because I've had both. So I hope this video inspired you to share with others what you're going through. Whether it be a stranger online, your best friend, a meeting, a therapist, it doesn't matter. Don't be afraid to share what's on your mind, because sometimes they say, in NA, you hear the expression, pain shared is pain lessened. And in my experience, I found that that's true. When I can share about what I'm going through, I'm no longer going through it alone. That's the beauty of recovery. We're never alone. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know, has there been a time that's been harder for you to share? Tell me about it. Are you going through something now that you're having trouble talking about? Please, share about it. Write about it. It's a really big help if you hit the like button on the video, but only if you like it, because I don't want you hitting the like button if you hate it. Let's be fair here. Yeah, thanks so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you all on Friday. Have a great week.